expatriarch, being an expat. What is up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Jessi's Journey, or if you're new here, hello, welcome. I am so glad you're here. My name is Jessi. I am an American expat. I used to live in Prague. I now live in Macedonia working at a refugee camp, and there are just like a million places in the world I would like to live at one day, and so I am filming all my journeys here to keep track of them, show where I go, show where I've been, you know, that. So if that's the kind of content you like, hit the subscribe button to get notifications in the future. Now, I've been an expat for about a year and a half now, and I absolutely love it. However, the thing about being an expat is that there are a lot of things you don't know are gonna happen that happen when you move abroad. And I also think, you know, in the era of like social media perfection and the internet and all that stuff, it's kind of hard to get a realistic picture of what being an expat is like, because you just get to see all the gorgeous, glamorous things we do and pretty buildings we're looking at and crazy adventures we're going on. And that's not to say that those things don't exist and don't happen, because they do, and they're freaking awesome. But there are also a lot of negative things that come with being an expat. I don't want to deter you to considering becoming an expat. However, I do want to give you a realistic perspective today of some things that do go wrong as an expat. So yeah, let's get into the video, guys. Number one, FOMO is real. Now, I think I had this idea that when I became an expat, I would just move abroad and do all these crazy life experiences and change as a person and just grow, and that I would eventually come home and everyone would be the exact same, and that's just not true. I've realized a lot this year that, you know, I'm not the only person in this world, and other people are living too. I guess I was just very self-centered. But you know what? It's true. I mean, it's really hard at times to see people that you love dearly and want to be doing life with other people or doing awesome things that you're not a part of. And even though you're doing these amazing, cool things, it's still hard to see sometimes. I remember right before I left, I had met a couple people that I was like, these people are so cool. I would love to be friends with them. And they had met some of my other friends as well. And then I left, and this past year they all got really close, and it was kind of hard to see, because I was like, I could have been friends with these people as well had I stayed, but instead I moved abroad. And now I know that seems like kind of silly, because I've made so many amazing friends abroad and I've gotten to do so many crazy things, but there are definitely times where I wish I was just doing what my friends were doing as well and doing life with them. And that is a totally normal feeling, and it's okay as long as after you feel those feelings, you choose to look at your surroundings and just be appreciative of the moment that you are living. Number two, there are going to be days where this new culture that you're living in is just simply too much. Now, I really experienced this when I was living in Prague. I absolutely adored Prague and the Czech Republic, but there were days where it wasn't happening. Wasn't happening, people. I remember I had many meltdowns, but one major meltdown that I had in the grocery store because I couldn't read any of the ingredients. I have a lot of food allergies, so that was scary. And like grocery shopping in the Czech Republic always stressed me out, because like people just kind of push you out of their way to get what they want. They're very like grabby and get their things because they're just like efficient. They don't got time to waste. And then you get to the checkout and they like start checking you out and you bag your own stuff, but they throw your food at you to bag. And then like if you don't get it done in time, they start throwing the next person's food at you. And it was just like one of those days where I was just feeling a little emotional, and it all just got a bit too much, and a cashier said something to me in Czech, and I didn't understand what she was saying because I speak English, and I full on melted down. Meltdown. I had a meltdown. It was awful. And there are just going to be days like that. You know, when you're living in a new culture, you're experiencing new things, and you're having to adapt to these new things, and it is normal to have days where you're just overwhelmed. And it happens probably more frequently than you would expect. Number 3, you will actually miss having roots. Now, this is more for my nomadic expats that travel around. You know, I'm the type of person, I didn't want to move to Prague to live there for the rest of my life or to live there for 5 years. I knew it was going to be a short time of about a year, and then I was going to be on to my next country, and I know that's how I'm going to continue to travel because that's how I feel called to explore this world. But there are definitely days where, you know, it would just be nice to own a house and to maybe be married and have kids, which isn't to say you couldn't do that abroad. You can very much so do that as an expat. But when I picture that for my life, I picture it in my hometown in Pennsylvania. And yeah, there are just days where, you know, you see like a really cute vase and you're like, oh man, I wish I owned a house so I could buy that vase and put it in that. Or like, oh man, I wish, I don't know, I had a cute coffee mug to drink out of this morning, but instead I just have this ugly mug that came with my fully furnished apartment that I'm not trying to pay extra money to buy things for. So yeah, that happens. It's okay though, because you also get to live a freaking awesome nomadic life. So, you know, grain of salt, that whole saying. It'll be fine tomorrow, but it definitely happens. Number 4. You are going to need rest days. Now, honestly, the best advice I ever have been given, and I'm giving it to you now, so you better be listening to this and writing it down, was that just because you live in a European city or you're in this touristy area does not mean you don't need me time and you don't need just like a day to veg and relax. I feel like when you move to a new city, you just want to get out and explore, and especially like living in Europe, there's so much to see. You could always just like hop on a train and get over to the next country. Like you could do so much, and it's very easy to forget that you need downtime to take care of you. Now, I know that kind of depends on what type of person you are. I am an introvert, so I need a lot more me time, a lot more low-key time than maybe an introvert would. But also, I still get overwhelmed and caught up in the sensation of wanting to go out and do stuff. And so you just have to keep that in balance. And also, don't feel guilty for taking that me time. That's healthy. You're not going to be able to do the other fun stuff if you're not in a good mental headspace, taking care of yourself by giving yourself personal days. Just because you live on a different side of the world does not mean your personality and your mental health are going to change. They're still going to be the same. You still have to take care of you. Number 5. People are going to come into and go from your life constantly, and it is going to be very, very hard. Now, there is this overwhelming expat community around the world of travelers, of adventurers, of explorers who are constantly on the go. Now, there are people who want to stay for a elongated period of times, but for the most part, I would say for people who are generally my age doing what I'm doing, you know, you're not going to be somewhere permanently for a long, extended period of time, and it can get really hard. You have to consistently be opening yourself up to people, making new friends, pursuing friendships, because if people are leaving, you don't want to be left all alone. You need friends, you need community to care for yourself, but it can be hard. It can be hard to be open and vulnerable with people and make good friendships and then have those people leave and to have to repeat the process. And also, saying goodbye is not easy. Saying goodbye is really, really hard. And yeah, it's just all a part of being an expat, and the process can be really, really sad and really, really draining. But the good news is you are now connected to a network of people all around the world, and you never know when you'll see them again. Number 6, financial surprises are definitely going to happen. Now, I remember a couple months ago, I went through a financial period where there was a personal issue that happened, and I had to give money to help care for that for somebody, and it basically, like, I was out of money. And I was glad to do what I did, but also at the same time, it did put a hard financial strain on myself, and I feel like nobody other than the person I was helping knew about it. And this is because you look at my social media and you see these gorgeous buildings that I'm in, or a picture of a cappuccino I drank in Italy like 3 months prior, and you're like, oh, she is doing great. And yes, like, I am lucky where I now do have a job where I have financial stability and can afford to travel and do things like that. However, it's not always necessarily the case. Or like, I am a huge budget traveler. Like, I backpack very cheaply. I try to spend maybe $10 to $15 a day when I do a trip. And so, you know, just because I'm posting this very glamorous shot doesn't mean spending a ton of money on that. And life just happens, you know, you'll get sick and need to go to the hospital, something will break and you'll need to replace it, you'll have to pay taxes that you weren't expecting to pay, or for healthcare, anything like that. Things are going to jump up no matter where you are in the world. This is true back at home when you're living at home, or when you're living abroad. So just prepare for those, have an emergency fund planned in case anything does happen, and expect it to happen. Number 7, there are going to be days where you are just going to want to give up and go home. And that's okay. I guess this kind of goes back onto like the days where the culture just gets too much, but there were days where it was just not even like the culture. Like I just had a bad day at work, or I just woke up feeling sad, and I was like, if I was home, I wouldn't feel this way. However, you know, having perseverance and getting through, having gumption, that is what's going to make this experience worthwhile for you, because in the long term, you're going to be able to look back on this span of your life and say, look what I did, how amazing was that? Yes, there were hardships, yes, there were really crap days, but you know, it was all worth it for this amazing life lesson and life experience that I had. And number 8, lastly, and most importantly, life does not just get magically easy because you move somewhere else. I feel like once again this just ties back into the idea of this like persona that social media puts out about travelers and nomads and expats, and it's kind of disheartening because there are people, I've even like friends, like Facebook friends, so like loose connections, maybe not necessarily my best friends or my family who really know what's going on in my life, but you know, friends on Facebook who have come in and been like, you are so happy looking, it looks like you're having an amazing time, this is the best thing that's ever happened to you, and I'm reading these comments and I'm like literally in my apartment having a mental breakdown, just like hating my life. So social media can be deceiving, and real life is real life. Like it happens no matter where you are in the world. Yes, you might be living in this fairy tale city or country or whatever it may be, but you know, unfortunately, fairy tales are fairy tales and reality is reality. Hardships are going to come and go. Like I said, financial struggles will happen. People are going to come and go from your life. You're going to feel emotionally drained, emotionally hurt and sad sometimes. Sometimes physical things will happen to you. Like life just goes on. It doesn't matter where you live. And that's something you really learn, because I think it's easy to almost idolize the idea of living abroad and being this nomad and traveler. And in reality, like, life can be pretty bad sometimes. So just because you're an expat doesn't mean everything's going to be magically better. Now, there are going to be amazing things you're going to get to do, and honestly, I'm following my dreams right now and just living my most authentic self. So therefore, being an expat also has kind of changed my life and made it so much better. But, you know, that doesn't mean it's perfect. That doesn't mean that I'm always happy and that things go my way. Very rarely do things go my way, let's be real. But yeah, expat life doesn't just make magic happen.
What's up, guys? I'm future editing Jessi here. So I'm currently editing the video, and I realized I either didn't sign off the end of the video like I usually do, or I deleted the footage, which I think is more so the case because usually I film like intros and outros at the same time. And so yeah, who knows what happened to that footage, or even if I filmed it. But I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends, family, strangers, that whole deal. And subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get video updates in the future. I'm currently in Macedonia, no longer in Prague. I'll leave links on the screen to the videos that I talked about Macedonia already, so you can get filled on what's going on there. But there's a lot of cool content coming to this channel very, very soon, so hit that subscribe button so you get those videos. And I will see you next week with another Jessi's Journey video. Bye, guys!